For this week's presentation, we will be discussing about academic ethics and plagiarism. We'll be defining plagiarism, talking about the school regulations and policies, including the punishments of plagiarism, as well as some tips to avoid unintentional plagiarism. So the presentation and the discussion today, I would like you to understand that academic ethics and academic integrity are the bottom lines for undergraduate studies. There are multiple information online about the definitions and characteristics of plagiarism. According to the School of Political Science and Economics, Waseda University, plagiarism is defined as the use of someone else's ideas and words as if they were originally your own. In other words, plagiarism is borrowing other people's ideas and arguments without acknowledgement. The basic idea behind plagiarism is that we should clearly let the readers know what are our original ideas and what are other people's works. We should not just borrow someone else's work without citing and referring to them. There are basically two ways you can refer to someone else's work. One is direct quotation. You put the original wordings of another article or book chapter in quotation marks. By using quotation marks, you acknowledge that you are borrowing directly from someone else's words. And the second way is to paraphrase it. You are rephrasing the ideas or arguments from someone else's works, and then you are putting them in your own words and relate them to your own article, to your own research. No matter if you're using direct quotations or using paraphrases, you should always include the full list of reference at the end of your paper, given that you are using the APA style of referencing. Whether or not you are writing an academic essay, a research paper, or doing a problem set, as long as you are borrowing someone else's ideas, arguments, or words, you should always recognize their efforts. There are basically three general ways of plagiarism. The first one is stealing ideas. You are pretending that you are originating a new model, theory, or something else, but actually they are borrowed from someone else. Secondly, it is stealing words. In this way, you are not using direct quotations, you are not using quotation marks, and pretend that the words are from your own. And thirdly, self-plagiarism. In this way, you are submitting the same essay, article, or paragraph which you wrote for another course, for this new course you are taking. You can find the explanations of plagiarism as well as self-plagiarism in the links I've provided here. Not only the School of Political Science and Economics, but also the Media Network Center of Waseda University has emphasized on the problem of plagiarism. They define plagiarism as submitting of someone else's information as your own, and submitting even a single part of such text is prohibited. Submitting a report that falls into the categories described above is regarded as being the equivalent of cheating in exam and falls under misconduct. Exam cheating and plagiarism will result in some severe punishments from your school or department. The various types of punishments from the school or the department you are affiliated with includes the discontinuation of your student ID card, the cancellation of your registration with a course that you conducted plagiarism, or the cancellation of the grades of all the courses that you have registered for this whole semester. Depending on the severity of the misconduct, you are subject to suspension from university as well. According to the SPSC policies regarding plagiarism, as more courses will be conducted online or in a hybrid format, you should expect to have more opportunities to submit a report as an assignment. If you copy words, statements, or thoughts from other studies and papers without proper acknowledgement to their origins, it will be considered as plagiarism. Regarding the specific punishments in SPSC for plagiarism, if you are found to have committed plagiarism of any sort, you will, at an absolute minimum, fail that course. In almost all cases, the penalty will be more severe. often including suspension of your registration at the school and losing all credits of all the courses during that same semester. So please do not try to copy in exams and plagiarize for reports. And a claim of ignorance is no defense, because we are teaching you regarding plagiarism in this basic seminar. Please do not think that you will get away from your plagiarism and punishments, because the professors and teachers, they check for plagiarism using some devices, and they are experienced enough to realize that if you are copying from other sources without acknowledgement. There are some general tips to avoid plagiarism for yourself. Firstly, you should reread and keep in mind what's the university and SPSC's guidelines, policies, and regulations, including the punishments for plagiarism and exam cheating. And secondly, when you are doing some kind of preliminary research or literature review, you should keep some really detailed and specific records of what you are reading. You should clearly indicate in your notes which are the direct quotes from the original words you've been reading, and which are the paraphrases of the ideas and arguments of the sources you're reading. And before you submit your paper, you should always check if you applied a consistent system of citation in your paper, and also if you included enough details for references, such as the name of the author, the publication date and year, the page number or the URL, or the access date of the website. And before the final submission, you should always go through and check for all quotations and citations again. And also, you should check that your reference list is complete and whether you have applied consistent referencing style throughout your paper. Finally, if you're unsure about how best to deal with citing or quoting something, or with matters pertaining to plagiarism, please talk to your teacher or the TA. And also, you should remember to include your full name, your student ID, and so on in your paper, so that the professor and the TA will easily identify you. And due to the same reason, when you go to an exam on campus or inside a classroom, you should always bring your student ID, so that the examiners or the graduate student supervisors can check whether you are taking the exam in person and you are not letting someone else to set the exam for you. And there are some specific points to keep in mind when we consider plagiarism. So the first one is that there are two general ways to avoid plagiarism. One is quote plus cite, and one is paraphrase plus cite. So no matter you are quoting or paraphrasing, you should always include the full list of references at the end of the paper if you're using APA style of referencing. And also, it is important to learn from others. You should read the journals or book chapters from really prominent existing scholars and researchers, so that you understand how to do literature review, how to write your own paper, and how to cite other sources. And importantly, practice makes perfect. You study in a university not to get good grades and get a good career. You are getting knowledge and you are getting different skills. To put that in mind, you should know that practice makes perfect. You should treat each assignment, each paper or group presentation or individual presentation as an opportunity to improve on your skills and knowledge. In that way, you will be more and more effective in writing papers and making presentations. If the professor of the course you are taking does not designate a specific reference style, it is always a good idea to use the APA 6th or 7th edition. But remember again that you have to apply it consistently throughout your paper. You cannot use APA for one part of the paper and then switch to Harvard or Chicago. You should stay with one style. And also you can use some online software such as RefWorks, Mendeley, or EndNote to manage your references and use Authenticate or Turnitin, which is not free, to check for plagiarism. Here I have put some external sources and URLs for you to check out in your free time regarding the definition of plagiarism and how to avoid it.